Alright, Broncos country, we are back and we definitely need to talk, especially because, we've definitely stumbled upon, well, I've stumbled upon my words clearly, but we stumbled upon a little bit of bad news. Of course, as it's been reported, Drew Sanders unfortunately is going to be out for a significant chunk of the season with an Achilles injury. I don't know any other way to say it. It actually does fucking suck. I mean, this dude was showing some significant promise last season. I mean, I don't know any other way to look at that. It's not all doom and gloom, though, because really and truly, though, he is going to be back at some point. Now, the thing about it that a lot of us tend to forget about is I don't know that we were necessarily ever gonna be heavily favored to be playoff contenders. I think there's a really good chance that the Broncos could make the playoffs. I mean, it really depends on not even so much how the season starts, so much as how a lot of it progresses from that middle portion on, because, I mean, just looking at the schedule as it is, 2 of the first 6 or 7 games or so are going to be on the road. So that in and of itself is a little bit problematic, especially given that those are going to be a lot of tough teams that we're going to be having to deal with on the road, specifically Seattle and Kansas City. But, you know, with all of that being the case, it's not like, you know, any of the things that have happened coming from this is going to hurt us in the long run. I mean, we got to trust that that this one injury isn't going to change but so much as far as how these things work out for us. I mean, there were moves made. Now, did we shore up that linebacking core as much as we could have? No. But there were some things that did get done that I'm actually in favor of. And it's not like, you know, the cupboard is entirely bare. And it's really interesting, especially when it comes to this guy, because, you know, here's what I find funny about not even just our fan base, but just fan bases in general. And, you know, just fandom in general, I should say. And I'm speaking just as much for myself as I am anybody else when I say all this. But if I could be perfectly honest about one thing, it's just how wild we can get about, you know, how picky we are in terms of the guys that we have on our roster. I mean, we're never ever really and truly satisfied with any of the things that we see any of our teams doing. And I think this is really significant proof of this. Now, I'm not overly familiar with Cody Barton. I mean, I probably seen as much of him as I seen of Alex Singleton in Philadelphia. That being said, I think that Singleton in Philadelphia was certainly more solid of a product than what Cody Barton has proven to be. But I don't know if the situations that Barton has been in have necessarily been conducive to anything that lead to him being successful. For all we know, maybe Denver is the place that he needs to be. Hopefully we can have him prove to be at least decently reliable as far as the run game is concerned. I mean, we did end up picking up guys on the defensive line to help with that, so that in and of itself is going to make a difference. I mean, let's look at it like this. I remember an old interview from years ago, and I want to say it was, I don't know, maybe, I'd say 3 or 4 years removed from when the Ravens first won their Super Bowl. And it was an interview with Ray Lewis. And they talked a lot about, because there was a point where they ended up having a bit of a decline as far as that defense was concerned. And Ray Lewis talked about that a bit. It was the fact that they didn't have anyone like a Saragusa up in there anymore, because after a certain point, he was gone, And I think that honestly says a lot for what that could mean for a defense. You gotta have them boys up front that can really clog up the line, and I think they addressed that a little bit more, at least with bringing in Jonathan Myers-Franklin, or is it Franklin Myers? Either way, a lot of people seem to be high on him, so I'd like to think he'll supplement whatever is being lost from Drew Sanders to some degree. But I guess where I'm trying to go with this is, let's just try to trust in what this dude can do, given that, we're basing everything off of what we got from Vance Joseph. I mean, we got to remember things were shaky to start to begin with, so it's not like that couldn't be the case. I mean, we wound up having a strong run, it just didn't get sustained. I mean, it's just going to be all about, can guys stay healthy, and we got to look at a guy like a Jonas Griffith, because, if he's healthy, he can certainly be a factor, but the question is, how much of when will he be, especially because he's still yet to play as a part of this regime. But we'll see how all that works out. We're going to move on to the receiving core, because if anything, I'm looking at this group just as much as anything else, specifically at this guy in Courtland Sutton. This is definitely a make it or break it year for him, because I'm pretty sure it's a contract year for one, but more than anything else, he's got a deal. No, he's looking for more guaranteed money. That's what it is. For this to actually be the case, he's going to really need to ball out. I don't think he's going to see any kind of deal that he's going to want before the season starts. I mean, it's going to be something that has to come along from his play, and he's going to have to be incredibly impactful, especially when we've got guys like Troy Franklin, and I think it's Deshaun Bailey that's coming in. And, of course, I think that Peyton's definitely going to have to start looking at Marvin Mims more, because if nothing else, he's definitely the deep threat that I believe a lot of us were hoping we were going to get out of KJ Hamler. And the combination of that and the young guns who I think are coming along, I think, if nothing else, one way or another, we're going to be looking at a changing of a guard at this position. Especially given that now that we got this guy coming along, something's going to have to give. And it's really going to have to give, because I'm personally of the mindset, I definitely see Jarrett Stidham starting the season. I wouldn't put anything past that. But at the same time, I wouldn't put anything past the notion of Bo Nix actually winning the starting job week 1. It's happened before. I believe there was a guy by the name of Brian Greasy who pulled that off. And that was given that we had by a guy who was actually really good at the time by the name of Bubby Brister. And, that was the case because that year of our back-to-back Super Bowl championship run, Bubby went 6-0. So we were looking forward to him after Elway retired, carrying over that momentum that he had from that 98 season into 99. But Greasy just came through and stole that thunder. We can't act like that can't be the case here with Bo Nix. I mean, there's certainly the intangibles for that to happen. Now, I like Stidham enough for him to be able to hold off Bo Nix, at least for the beginning of this season. But I don't think we need to look at that as a guarantee. There's no given that that's going to be the case, and if you really feel like that's true, then I'm sorry, I don't think you're paying attention to the correct things. But that's just my opinion on that. Y'all can let me know what y'all think on it. Y'all know how this works. Like, share, subscribe if y'all are new, of course, and especially if you enjoy the content. And with that in mind, I definitely appreciate y'all coming through. I'll be getting at y'all.